Hey everyone, welcome back to the React.js course. So inside this video, we'll be building a Redux card system inside our React application involving the quantities as well. And if you find this interesting, let's get started right away. So in this video, we'll be building a card system that involves the quantities as well. So in the previous video, we just went and explored about how to build a basic kind of card system that involves the basic two functionalities, that is the add to cart functionality and the remove from cart functionality. So this was implemented in the previous video and we implemented this with the help of the Redux toolkit. So over here, we'll be building a better kind of card system using the Redux toolkit. Okay. So over here we'll be including the quantities as well. Okay, so that is to basically increase the quantity with the help of the plus button, or to even decrease the quantity with the help of, let's say, the minus button that is present. Okay, so we'll be implementing this in this video. So the first step is to create let's say we will render some items on our web page. Okay, so firstly let's explore about the boilerplate code. So inside my app.js, I've created a new screen, that is the home screen. So if you check out the file tree, inside my src folder, there is a home screen that is created. So I've just rendered my home screen inside of my app.js. Okay, so now inside my home screen, so there is a basic div we are returning, and inside that we have a h4 tag which says home screen. Okay, so over here also we'll be making use of this local data, and then we'll be implementing the redux part. Okay, so over here we have again again the same images array. So over here each of the image has a unique id image that is basically the link of that particular image, and we have the name of that item. Okay, so based on this data we'll be implementing the redux card system. So the first step is to pretty much show this data onto our web page. So let's go do that. So over here inside our home screen, let's make use of let's say the map function. So we're gonna say images.map for every item and index inside our images array. Let's say we want to return a new product for each of the item that is present inside our images array, right? So for that reason, let me create a new component. So it's gonna be, let's say, product.js. Okay, so let's type in rfce to get the shorthand snippet. So let's save the file. Let's come back to our home screen. So basically over here what we are doing is, so for every item inside our images array, let me return the new product, that is the product component. Let's import the product component as such from that particular file. And now let's basically remove this h4 tag that's not required now. Okay, so for the product, let's provide some data. So basically the the item itself, and we're gonna provide the key also, right? So key is gonna be index, right? So let's save the file once. Let's come back to our web page. Okay, so let's refresh. So after refreshing, you can see there are three products. Okay, so essentially what is happening over here is, so since we are mapping through the images array, and inside the images array we have three essential items. So for each of the item we are returning a new component, that is a new product component as a whole, and we are passing the item over here. Okay, so if you come into the product component, since we are returning the product basically inside a div tag, so that's the reason we are able to see the product over here as the output inside our web page. Okay, so let's access the props first inside our product over here. So that's going to be item. We're going to destructure the value, and then firstly let us get the image, right? So it's going to be image, and for this we're going to provide the source. So the source is going to be item.image. Okay, so if you come to our home screen, so to access the image it should be item.image. So that's the reason I wrote item.image. So let's provide some inline styling to the image here itself. Okay, so we're gonna provide, let's say, a width of 100 and a height of 100, and let's also give some border radius of, let's say, 10. Okay, so let's save the file. Yeah, so you can see the images coming up correctly on the screen, right? So the next thing we look into is basically let's give some basic styling to the div over here.
Okay, so we have a padding of 20 and margin of 20. So padding is basically the internal spacing, so we're giving it of 20, and margin is external spacing, so we're giving margin of 20. So let's save the file. Okay, yeah, so you can see the spaces being applied, that is basically the margin and padding. So the next thing we look into is, let's render the name of the product. So let's say h3, and it's gonna be item.name. So that's the way we access the name, because we have a name attribute over here. So let's save the file. Okay, yeah, we can see the name coming up. So the next thing we look into is basically the button. Okay, so the button will be rendering over here. So this is gonna say add to cart. Okay, so let's save the file over here. Yeah, so you can see the button coming up. So what we do next is we are gonna provide some basic styling to the button. So we're gonna say margin top of, let's say, 4, and we're gonna say cursor of pointer. Okay, so save the file. So currently we have everything initialized, that is basically we can see the products coming on the screen as we want. So now let's move on to the Redux part. Okay, so for that reason, let me install the dependencies required for Redux. Okay, so it's essentially going to be the same thing. So we're going to say yarn add, firstly it's going to be React Redux. So let's install that dependency. So after this we have is of course the Redux toolkit. So let us install that right now. So we are going to say Redux toolkit, and we are going to go to the first link that is from the official website, and we'll press on get started. Okay, so let's come and install the Redux toolkit with the help of yarn, right? So let's pretty much copy the code, and over here inside our terminal, let me paste that over, and let's remove that that hashtag. So from here, and let's just install the Redux toolkit. Okay, so let's press on enter. So this should install the dependencies for the Redux toolkit. So now we'll be creating our first slice, that is, let's say, our cart slice. So let's open up our file tree, and inside a source folder we're going to say cart slice.js. Okay, so inside our cart slice we'll be writing all the functionalities. Okay, that is basically the add to cart functionality, the remove from cart functionality, and even the increment as well as decrement quantity functionality as well. Okay, so let's get started with that. So the first thing we need is create slice. So let's import that. So we're going to say import create slice from the Redux toolkit. So over here we're going to say export const cart slice equals to create slice. So this is going to take in an object. So firstly, the first thing over here is the name it takes. So since we are building a cart system, we're going to provide the name of cart. Okay, so the next thing after cart is we need to provide the initial state. So over here, since we are building a cart system, so essentially a cart is going to contain a set of items. Okay, so these set of items are going to be inside of an array. So since this is an array, we're going to provide an array. Okay, so we're going to say cart, and at the initial stage there are no items present inside of the cart. So for that reason we'll be providing an empty array like this. Okay, so the next thing is we'll be sending the reducers. Okay, so we'll be writing our first reducers now. So this is going to take in an objects. Okay, an object. So the first one is basically the add to cart. So we're going to say add to cart. So this is going to take in the state and the action. All right, so let's see how we can write the functionality for add to cart. Okay, so firstly inside add to cart we first check if there is any item present inside the cart. Okay, so if the item is already present inside the cart, and if the user presses on the add to cart button, then we need to just increase the quantity of that particular item by 1, right? So if that's not the case, if the user has just pressed on any one of the item for the first time, then we need to push those particular details into the store basically, right? So we'll be implementing that inside the add to cart. So let's write the code line by line. So first is the condition check. We are checking if the item is already present inside the cart. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to say const item present equals to state dot cart dot, so we'll be making use of the find method. Okay, so we're gonna check if the item dot id equals to the action dot payload dot id, right? So if this is the case, that is if the item is present, then we're going to simply increase the quantity of that particular item. So we're going to say if item is present, we're going to say item present dot quantity plus plus. Okay, else if that's not the case, that means the item has not been added to the cart, then we are going to push that particular item into the cart. Okay, so we're going to say state dot cart dot push. Okay, so basically we'll be pushing the action dot payload, whatever we have given, and we are including another attribute, that is basically the quantity, and we'll be passing the quantity as 1. Okay, so that's it about the add to cart functionality. So now let's move on to the next one, basically the remove from cart, right? So let's say remove from cart. Here we are gonna pass in our state and action. Okay, so now what we do is, firstly so this functionality will be making use of the filter method, and will filter based on the id. Okay, so if the user presses on the remove from cart button, then we will remove that particular item based on the filter method, that is by checking the id. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to say const remove from cart equals to state dot cart dot we're gonna say filter. Okay, so we're gonna check if the item dot id is not equal to, so this is basically the condition that we're gonna apply, right? Okay, so this is the condition that we're going to apply for the remove from cart. So we're going to say if the state.cart.filter, so we will be basically filtering based on this condition. So if the product.id is not equal to the action.payload.id, we'll be removing that particular product from our cart. Okay, so after this we're going to say state.cart equals to remove from cart. Okay, so that's it about the remove from cart. So now let's move on to the next part, that is increment quantity. So let's say increment quantity. Okay, so this is going to take in the state and action again. So increment quantity is pretty simple. So this is going to work on the basically the plus button that we'll be rendering. So if the user presses on the plus button, then we'll be increasing pretty much the quantity of that particular item. Again, we'll be checking if the item is present over here first. So let's do that. So const, let's write that properly. Okay, so after checking, we're just gonna say item present dot quantity plus plus. Okay, so that's it about the increment quantity. So next let's move on to the decrement quantity. Okay, so we're gonna say decrement quantity. So over here we're gonna pass in the state and action again. So this is gonna be a little different. So firstly we're gonna check if the quantity is 1. So if the quantity is 1, so first of all this decrement quantity is going to work on the minus button that is rendered on the screen. So firstly, if the quantity is 1, then what we do is and if we press on the minus button, then we need to show the add to cart. Okay, so that is after removing that particular item from the cart, we need to show the add to cart button. So in case the quantity is greater than 1, or yeah, so if it's greater than 1, then let's say if it's 2, 3 or even 10, then in that case we need to just decrease the quantity by 1. Okay, so based on that we'll be writing the condition over here. So first let's write in the default things. So let's say const item present equals to state dot cart dot find if the come on, item.id equals to action.payload.id. So we're going to say if the item present dot, is the spelling right? So if the quantity equals to 1, so this means that we need to remove this product from the cart, and then we should show the add to cart button. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say const remove from cart equals to basically state dot cart dot filter. So we'll be filtering again based on the ID. So this is going to be the similar way we did for remove from cart. Okay, if this is the case, we're going to do this, that is if the quantity of that particular item is 1. Okay, so else, if you go into the else condition, that means the quantity is of course more than 1. So in that case, we're going to say item present dot quantity minus minus. Okay, so I think that's it about the decrement quantity as well. So now let's export all the required details, right? So we're going to say export const add to cart, remove from cart. Okay, let's write in const correctly. And we also have increment quantity and decrement quantity equals to cart slice dot actions. Okay, so after that we have export default cart slice dot reducer. Okay, so I think that's it about the cart slice. You can check out the code again from the start. Okay, so now the next step is that Redux is going to have a store, of course. So let's create the store file now. So inside our src folder, let's create a new file, that is store.js. So the first thing we require inside the store is of course configure store. So let's import that. So we're going to say import configure store from the Redux toolkit. Over here we're going to say export default configure store. So this is essentially going to take in our reducers, okay, as an object. So we have, let's give it the name of cart, and we have our cart reducer. Okay, so let's import cart reducer. It's not coming. Let's import it manually. So we're going to say import cart reducer from our cart slice file. Okay, I think that's it about our store. We have created our store. So now we have just set up the Redux environment. So for everything to work, we need to include a provider inside our app.js right over here. Okay, so let's remove the div that is present. We're going to say provider, and let's import it from React Redux as such, like this. Let's remove this out, and let's import our home screen inside our provider. Okay, so let's format the document once, and let's say okay. So the first thing we need to do is so inside the provider we need to provide the store. Okay, so that's the required attribute over here. So we're going to say store equals to store. Okay, so now we need to import the store from the correct store file that we have inside our src folder. So we're going to say import store from store as such. Okay, so save the file. So now we have set up Redux. Okay, so let's come over here. So now everything, so let's give a check. So for that reason, let's come to our product screen or the home screen, and let's try to console.log our array that is present. Okay, so we should get an empty array at the initial stage because we have passed an empty array over here, right? So inside our home screen, let us say const cart equals to use selector. Let's import it from React Redux like this, and let's access the state, and we're going to say state dot cart. So this is going to be the name of the reducer, that is this one, and the cart that is present. Okay, so now what we do is we're going to say, so now we're going to say console.log of cart. Okay, so save the file. Let's come back to our web page. So let's open up our console. Okay, yeah, so there you go, we have an initially empty array. Okay, because there is no item present inside our cart and our Redux is set up properly currently. Okay, so now let's come back to our product. So the next step we do is we dispatch items into our cart. Okay, so for that reason we'll be making use of the use dispatch hook. So let's initialize that. So const dispatch equals to use dispatch. Let's import it from React Redux as such. Okay, so over here inside our add to cart where we have the button, we're gonna say on click, we're gonna write a function which says add item to cart. You're gonna pass in the payload, that is item. So let's define the function at the top over here. So we're gonna say const add item to cart. It's gonna take in the item, and over here we'll be making use of the dispatch. So we're gonna say dispatch add to cart. So this is gonna come from the cart slice file, and we're gonna pass in the item. Okay, so let's save the file. So I think that should work absolutely fine. So let's give that a try. So let's come to the console. So currently we have an empty array. So let's press on the first button. Yeah, so there you go. We have been given the cart length of 1. So basically we have added the first item and we have the quantity of 1 as well. So basically this item has been added to the cart. Okay, so the add to cart functionality is working absolutely fine. Okay, so now let's implement in such a way that if the item is present inside the cart, we'll be showing the minus button, the quantity, as well as the plus button as well. Okay, so firstly let's initialize our state for the quantity. So we're going to say const number comma set number equals to use state. Okay, we'll be passing an initial value of 0. Let's import use state from React over here. Okay, so the next thing is we apply the condition. Okay, so we're going to say if cart.sum. Firstly let's access our cart. It's not present inside our product screen. So it's going to be state.cart.cart. Okay, so over here we are going to say if cart.sum. We'll be making use of the sum method. If let's say if c dot id equals to the item dot id. In this case the item is present inside the cart. Okay, else the item is not present. Fine, so let's copy over here. So if this is true, that is for sum method, if this condition is true, that is if c dot id equals to the item dot id, then we'll be showing basically a div. Okay, so let's write that out. Let's paste the button over here. So this is going to be the plus button, the minus button. After this we have is a h4 tag. So this is going to contain basically the quantity. So so this is stored inside of state, right? So number. So let's access that over here. So after that we have is again the button. So this button is basically the plus button, right? So let us save the file. So now what we do is basically we initialize functions for this plus button as well as the minus button. Okay, so on click, we're gonna say add or increment quantity of item. Let's define the function over here. It's gonna take in the item, and let's pretty much paste this right at the top. Okay, let's even define for decrement quantity as well. So we're gonna say decrement quantity of item. Okay, so let's define the function at the top. So decrement quantity okay. So what we do is over here, firstly let's look into the plus button, that is the increment quantity. So firstly what we do is we are going to increase the quantity to be +1. Okay, so we're going to say set number. So we're going to access this state, so set number, and we're going to increase it by 1. Okay, so the same thing we're going to do if we press on the add to cart button for the first time. Okay, so if you press on add to cart over here, we should show towards the left the minus button, and towards the center the quantity of 1, and towards the right the plus button. Okay, so it should be minus quantity and then plus, right? So over here we're going to say set number, and we're going to increase it by 1. Okay, so after, okay, I've written it in the wrong function. So increment, let's write it over here. So after increasing the quantity, we're going to dispatch the action, that is increment quantity. So this is going to come pretty much from our cart slice. So let's import that. I think that's not coming, so let us manually do it from over here, right? Yeah, so now what we do is for the decrement quantity, what we do is firstly we're going to say set number to be -1. Whatever the current value is, we're going to set it to be -1, and after that we're going to dispatch it pretty much. So we're going to say dispatch decrement quantity of item. Okay, so essentially everything should work. So let us understand with this example, and let us understand even how the functions work. So save the file, come back to the web page. So let's open up a console. Okay, so the first time I'm pressing on the add to cart button, so it's going to go into this function. Okay, so because this is initialized, okay, so this function is subjected to the first function we have over here. So first thing we are doing on line number 10 is we are increasing the quantity. So currently it is 0, so it's going to be 1. So this condition becomes true because we have dispatched that particular item into the cart. Okay, so we'll be showing this design. Okay, so let's give some styling to the div. Let's say display flex. Okay, and flex direction of row. Let's just give some default styling. So save the file. Let's come back to our web page. So currently let's say I press on the first button. Yeah, so there you go, we can see the quantity of 1 being applied, and we have the minus button and as well as the plus button. Okay, so now we are in this condition, so it is showing this div because this condition has become true. Okay, because the item is present inside our cart. Okay, so now basically we have the plus button and the minus button. So for the plus button we have the increment quantity function. So inside the increment quantity, what we are doing is, first thing is we are increasing the quantity by 1, as you can see over here. So after that we are dispatching increment quantity of that particular item. So what we do over here is inside increment quantity, we pretty much increase the quantity of that particular item inside our cart, right? So let us try that out. So let's press on the plus button. Okay, there is some error. We are getting some huge value. So let's look into that. Why is it showing that value, right? So inside our increment quantity, we are accessing the set number, and we are just increasing it by 1, and we are dispatching the increment quantity, right? Okay, it's not okay, so this is not taking correctly, so let us see why is that happening. So inside our cart slice we have passed the correct value. So okay, I think we have given the same name, right? That is for the function name as well as the cart slice that is coming. I mean, that is for the action and the function names are both same. So for that reason, what we're going to do is we're going to say increment item quantity. Okay, so let's copy this function name and paste it over here. So for this thing, we're going to say decrement item quantity. Okay, so let's copy this function name and paste it over here for this one. I think that's what was the error. Hopefully, so let's save the file. Yeah, I think that's the error. So let's refresh the app. So currently let's press on the add to cart button. Okay, you can see the minus and the quantity and the plus button coming up. So let's say if I press on the plus button, yes, now it's working absolutely fine. So let's check out the array. We have one item present in the array and the quantity should be 2. Okay, yeah, so it's working correctly. The quantity is 2 and we have the correct items being dispatched. Okay, so let's say if I press on this the second item, we have 2 items inside our array and we have the quantity of 1 over here and the quantity of 2 for the first item, right? So for the first item we have quantity of 2 and for the second item we have quantity of 1. Okay, so that's the way this works. So now what we do is we're going to test the minus button. Okay, so for decrement quantity, so currently the quantity is more than 2, so this is going to go into the else condition and it's going to just decrease the quantity by 1. Okay, so let's check that out. Yeah, so there you go, it's currently working and we have decreased the quantity by 1. And even inside our array for both the items we need to have quantity of 1, right? Yeah, so that's working absolutely fine. So let's say if I press on again the minus button, so now the item quantity is 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this particular item from the cart. So if we remove this item from the cart, essentially inside our product component, this this condition is going to become false. So we'll be showing pretty much the add to cart button. So that's what we wanted to see. So let's give that a try. So yes, there you go, it's working absolutely fine. So currently we have only one item inside our cart, that is basically biscuit. So the second item, so we have biscuit and quantity of 1, and pretty much you can increase the quantity, decrease the quantity for all the products, and you can, yeah, so everything is working absolutely fine. So that's the basic Redux cart system involving the quantities, okay, inside this video. So I think that's it about this video. We went and explored about how to even add these two reducers. So in the previous video we just explored about how to implement functionalities for the add to cart as well as from remove as well as the remove from cart. So in this video we also went and explored about increment quantity as well as decrement quantity functionality, and we have implemented it inside our product component similarly by adding just these two extra functions. Okay, so this part was pretty much similar. So in the last video we just rendered the remove from cart button in this case. So over here if the item is present inside the cart, we are pretty much rendering this kind of design where we have basically the minus button, the plus button, and the quantity. Okay, and we are pretty much dispatching the quantity, the increment quantity reducer as well as the decrement quantity the action, and we are actually decreasing the size, I mean decreasing the quantity as well as increasing the quantity based on the button we press. Okay, so I think that's it about this video. Let's see you in the next video, and then thank you for watching.